Are we live? Looks like we might be. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be, whenever you may be. Welcome to the live Jive, whoever you may be. This is Frank Monday, broadcasting to you live from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon, where we are in the thick of it, man. It's the morning grind. All the AI are out causing trouble. You guys know the situation. Shit ain't cute. It's something like a Thursday here in Happy Land. I hope you all are doing well. The weather is frozen. It says on the vehicle temperature gauge, it says that it is -2 outside. That's -2 Celsius, centigrade, whatever you like, metric system. Which means if you guys are on Fahrenheit, it's like, I don't know, what's that, 25? 23? 23, the magic number. I have got another tooth problem, as always. Dealing with the teeth, no kind of fun. Tell me all about it. Have you been successful in maintaining good teeth your whole life? Do you know anyone that has gone their whole life without a single tooth problem? I hear it's possible to even grow a third set of teeth once you hit 80. That's pretty cool, huh? Maybe some of you wild men out there will grow a third set of teeth. That would be all kinds of fun. Let me make sure I got enough money to pay the toll. Yep, still got the money up there. That's good. Nothing from Dreamland, man. I don't know what's up. Nothing going on in Dreamland. Let's see if we can see the waning crescent moon this morning. I don't see it. Skies are black. We're past the solstice. So what's new with you guys out there in Happy Land? Anything interesting? Did anybody figure out why there's no coast to coast the last few days? Hey, look, it's Monsieur Tiedrick. I don't know why I feel like calling you Monsieur, Jeff. Seems like your last name is more German than anything. I don't know. But for some reason, you strike me as a Frenchman. Are you a Frenchman? Do you have ancestry from old Paris? Yes, it is German. Yeah, it looks German. It does indeed look like a German last name. I myself am a German-Irish Jew. And there might be a little French in there. You never know. I mean, what is national boundaries. None of that even speaks to ethnicity anymore, right? I mean, you could be an Arabic person, an Arab individual, and have, you know, multiple generations of French background and call yourself a Frenchman. So that's a cultural thing and language thing, right? I mean, what are the French? Where did they come from? And some of our earliest records, I guess, show us that the Germanic tribes and the French tribes were intermingling quite a bit. And what are the British but descendants of the Germanic tribes? And aren't all of them? I mean, isn't all of Europe? I mean, it depends on what theory you look at, right? Some theories have the Proto-European ancestry, folks that came out of the Caucasus Mountains, the Caucasians. And then there's theories of geography influencing the formation of your genetic material. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Then there's guys like Theosophy, Rudolf Steiner, Blavatsky, those types of folks that talk about Mu, Lemuria, Atlantis, and they say there are 5 root races, each one with a distinct color: white, black, yellow, brown, and red. The 5 root races. So there's, you know, here's the truth. Nobody knows for sure. There are scientific theories, right? But who knows, man? Who knows? It's a mystery. And you could buy into the 100 million year evolution from monkeys if you like. I mean, a lot of people like that. They grew up, you know, they were taught in school that their ancestors were, you know, they were taught in school that their ancestors were hanging out in caves and smashing a couple of rocks together. Then there's the alien hybrid DNA theory. I mean, there's all kinds of happy horse shit out there these days. How will any of it ever affect your essentially day life, though? I am suspicious that it won't. Then there's talk of giant tribes and pygmies and all kinds of cryptids. But I'll tell you what I think. I mean, because that's why you're really here, right? You want to hear what old Mr. Monday thinks about it. I learned a Latin term years ago when I was a kid, and I thought it was cute. I'm like, that sounds like a cute Latin term. And I've kind of integrated it into my cosmology based on what I know. So the term many of you are familiar with, it's sui generis, or self-so. So I got this theory that we're all unique species and creatures, and we don't really necessarily intermingle much. You know, the old South Park expression, pig and elephant DNA just don't mix. So the whole Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon being hybrids, yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I've never legitimately even seen any of those skeletal structures to know if there's any truth to any of it. I've got just as much evidence that I'm descended from giants as I do that I'm descended from primates. So I think that somehow we have a unique position in the cosmos, and all creatures do. An elephant doesn't evolve into a whale, even if it hangs out in the ocean for a long time. hundreds of millions of years. Just doesn't seem to happen. Microevolution I'm on board with, like small adaptations to environment, but I think that's very small, very limited. I think a lot of it is nanobot level. But there you have it, sui generis. We're all like snowflakes. I think it was Carl Jung that said, the more you become a productive member of society, the more you reduce your level of being an individual. And a perfect member of society is much like an automaton, like a robotic type creature. An NPC, right? And so the drive to be a good NPC is pretty strong in the culture these days. I like to think of myself as a pretty good NPC, right? I don't think I am a non-player character, though. I feel like a hero living in a grand adventure. And I'm on the hero's journey. I am definitely in the Twilight Zone over here in Peking, man. I can't read that chat, unfortunately. I'll be able to check it when I get to the yard. When you're on the international superhighway headed east at 100 kilometers an hour, you can't take time to read text messages. And old Siri isn't competent enough to read them to me. I think there should be an option where you could set it to have that little robotic voice read your text messages while you're driving. Be like, Mr. Monday, there's an incoming chat message from Monsieur Tidrick. Would you like me to read it for you? I'd be like, yeah, sure, sweetheart, do that. You do that. You little robot NPC. Oh God, look at these guys are slowing down to 40 to get on the highway. What a joke. What an absolute joke. God, that guy didn't have any idea how to use the on-ramp. The on-ramp is where you build up your speed to launch yourself into traffic. But he rolled out into traffic like, I don't know, like he was picking his nose or something. And it's like, that's okay, bro. Just throw the entire morning grind into a halt because you got your finger up your nose. Seems like he could have spent time picking his nose before he headed out to drive. But I don't know, that's just me. I get all the nose picking done first thing in the morning, you know, wash the face, have a cup of mud, maybe fire up a JP Farrell, and get all that done before I get into my vehicle. But again, I'm a Boy Scout, you know, always prepared, which means I do pre-travel rituals. Yo, looks like Diane's out there in Happy Land. Finally, the waning crescent moon. Guys, we're only a couple of days out from the new moon. You know how those new moons are dark and void of dreams. I don't know though, sometimes I have a bananas lucid dreaming experience under a new moon, but recently I haven't. Recently I've been having most of my good, powerful dreams under the full moon. It's important to get outside and do some moon worship, but it's also important to get yourself out into the sunshine daily too, if you can, especially in winter. 你好，1、2、3、4、5，对吗？ Here you are. Thank you. Bye. It's open? Yeah, all right. She's got it. She hit the button to let me through before she even counted the money. She was a cutie too. She looked like she was about 17 or 18, but I know better. In China, you're not allowed to start a job until you're 22. That's the minimum job age here in China. Occasionally though, you'll see someone slipping in under the gun, under the radar, you know, like the 5-star hotels where Presidente's son, Monsieur, la la la, where he hangs out. They got hookers as young as 13 and 14 there. So that'll keep him happy while he's sucking on his glass dick. Let's go Brandon, right? Everybody loves Brandon's son. He's a revolutionary artiste. Those old royal family guys, they really get up to shenanigans in those 5-star bathhouses, right? I always wonder how those places are able to exist with all that young tail running around in there, working in the service industry. And I wonder what their parents are thinking, right? I guess they pull them out of orphanages, they break up the families, and then, you know, throw the dad in prison or something for cheap labor, and then put the mom in a convenience store and say, well, you can't take care of your kids, so we'll just take them into state custody and then put them in a bathhouse so guys like Brandon's son can smoke crack and stick his schlong up their bunghole. I always wonder how that happens. What's going on out there in Happy Land? Little Fish says Trudeau is actually Fidel Castro's son. His mom has been visiting him on the side. I see the resemblance. Yeah, he looks like Castro. I heard that rumor. At the end of the day, what will it ever matter, right? Angela Merkel was Hitler's daughter or granddaughter. The Queen of England, she worshipped Hitler as a young lady. She was in the Nazi party until they launched their fake World War II. I heard someone the other day saying that they were they had avoided, who was it? I can't remember who it was now. A guy my age though. He said he avoided going to war in the Middle East during Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and Iraq and all of that. And he's like, but I salute all those young men and women who joined up to fight for us. And I thought, what the fuck? What kind of education do you have that you think those people... Oh, it was David Paulides of Missing 411. He thinks that the Middle Eastern wars were to fight for American freedoms. And I was like, bro, where is your logic and reason in that? That's a military-industrial complex operation to secure oil and heroin and everything else for the CIA to poison the American people. How is that representative of fighting for American freedoms? He really has a skewed view of history. And then, so yeah, I watched David Paulides' video yesterday. I haven't been watching him very much anymore because he is literally insane. And he thinks that China is the US's #1 adversary. And I'm like, bro, you still think that you live in the US when there are millions of Chinese folks over there straight out of the Communist Party that have a better situation than you. More land, bigger houses, better jobs, nicer shopping malls, entire sections of Southern California that belong 100% to China. And it's like, what daydream? He's living like in a 1950s daydream. He still thinks there's like a proud American patriot. I don't know, man. And he called out communism. He said there was a senator that actually supported a communist awards ceremony. And I'm like, bro, the Communist Party in America is stronger than ever. Look at it. They installed their own puppet leader. Beijing Biden. I mean, how much more do you need to convince you to wake up when he really baffles me. So he said he was proud of the patriots that went into the Middle East to murder Arabic children and hunt down that bad guy, right? That old Santa Claus figure, Osama bin Laden. You guys remember that guy? Guy that was dead from like the early 90s. And it's all such fabrication and horse shit, but he buys into it 100%, man. He's like, yeah, how does the song go? America, fuck yeah, coming to save the day. It's like they can't even get the criminals out of local government, and these guys are just going decadent banana ape shit while they've got Antifa and BLM rioting all over the US. And at the same time, he thinks that that same institution is working to ensure American freedoms by bombing a goat herder's wedding party. He was a terrorist though, and murdering, his 10 children or whatever, and just randomly killing people in the Middle East. That's fighting for American freedoms. You go, David Paulides. You're a fucking genius, amigo. Really are. And he whines so much recently about YouTube chastising and censoring him that it just become unbearable to watch. I used to enjoy listening to his videos because he would just, tell the paranormal stories of people disappearing and stuff in national parks and, come at it from a detective's point of view. But over the last couple of years, I guess it's since his son committed suicide, and I'm surprised that he doesn't ask himself, did I play any role in my son committing suicide? Maybe he has asked himself, but I wish he would wake up to the fact that 99.9%, not 99% of it, 100% of it is bullshit. And so if you're buying into any part of the story, and I feel for people, I am truly sympathetic to people that think they can be a patriot in today's modern feudalistic system. And it's like, bro, when are you going to resist? Senior William Gates III has literally seized control of the US. And they install a puppet guy. I don't know. I just, fuck it. Who cares? Who cares what David Paulides thinks? I do, though. I do care what he thinks. I'd like to sit down with him and have a conversation about reality and, just talk brass tacks with him and be like, bro, if you think the US is anything but a part of the New World Order, then you're living in a 1950s daydream that ended a long time ago. I mean, when do you think was the deciding factor to stand up and thwart the implementation of a global system? Was it at the time of global lockdown when every nation on earth just unanimously decided to lock down the world? Was that the opportunity? Or was it during the 1990s when the Clinton administration proliferated nuclear technology throughout the globe, right? In so-called enemy China, right? Gave China the nuclear football. Was it then? Was it during the 1970s? What was it in the 60s when the CIA assassinated Kennedy, right? Oh, that's speculation though, right? We don't have hard evidence of that. Was it during the 60s and 70s when they they faked the moon landing and the space program. Was that the opportunity to stand up and resist? What about the early 1900s when they turned over the duties of Congress for printing money to an independently owned banking system, right? Owned by the Rothschilds and the Goldman Sachs and Morgan P. Stanley on Jekyll Island? Was it then? Was it 100 years ago? So David Paulides, he's not dealing with reality. But I still do enjoy his story. So now, rather than watching most of his videos that drop, I used to like watching them on Sunday nights. Now I'll watch, like, I don't know, maybe one a month. Because he genuinely baffles me. He's like, did you know Dianne Feinstein had a Chinese spy working as her private driver for 20 years? And it's like, bro, don't you think Dianne Feinstein knew that? Don't you realize people like Dianne Feinstein and Beijing Biden are firmly in the pocket of the New World Order and working with China? It's not individual nations, it's a unilateral corporation called the New World Order, right? It includes all the elite from Russia, the UK, Australia, China, India. They're all in it together, man. It really baffles me that people think they live in independent individual nations. All those borders are walls of the prison to keep the plebes from moving around too much. And if they do want to move around, then they're going to have to pay a lot of economic clout, a lot of their greenbacks or redbacks or whatever kind of paper currency they have to do it. The only thing it's done is prevented the poorest among us from visiting their family occasionally. Whereas I could probably go home once every couple of years. Now it would probably take me 5 to 10 years of saving and preparing myself just to be able to travel home to the US one time. Whereas old Beijing Biden's son, Monsieur Artiste, right? Brandon's kiddo, he flies in and out of here all the time. Every time he needs a new supply of crack rock and fentanyl, he jumps on Air Force One or Air Force Two or whatever and just does whatever the fuck he wants, because this is enemy territory. Oh, it baffles me. It really does. What baffles me even further is that a guy like Bill Gates is even allowed to talk on television. With the amount of blowback that people who are in the know, waking up people who did not know, right, about the whole scam pandemic, that he's even allowed to show his face in public, let alone acting like his opinion means fucking anything. Or Dr. Anthony Fauci, the Swiss Nazi. How the fuck is it, with everything that's come out and everything that we've been through, those fucking dirty cockbags are still in the public eye? They should be in prison. They should be, I don't know, man. Yeah, no, I do know. They should be publicly executed for their involvement in helping, if not personally conspiring to create the situation, which I'm very fucking suspicious of, then they should at least be held accountable for letting it happen under their watch. And not only that, for contributing to the impetus of it occurring. And that's all I got to say about it, because I have arrived at the yard, which means that I have time to have myself a JP Farrell and check the chat. I'm gonna see if anybody has said anything in the ideas room this evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are. Let's see what's going on out there. Check out It's Amazing What They're Doing. Two little fishes out there. I'll do a little shout out to everyone first. Thanks for joining the show, guys. This is the Live Drive Jive Archive with your host, Frank Monday. We've arrived at the yard, broadcasting to you 5 days a week from the Central Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon, Twilight Zone Old Peking, where all the technology that's being rolled out for global enslavement gets tested here first, right? This is where they roll it out first. We've got robot sentries rolling around on the streets here in this little suburb pretty much 24/7. I don't see that they have them out right now, but they got these little robot vehicles. I'll film them later and show you guys. And they're doing it under the guise of food delivery. But the truth of it, one stopped by my car the other day and shot a laser into my window to try to scan my face. And I was like covering my face up, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing stopping by my car, you little robot fuck? Anyway, it's real, and the AI is in control. You got to realize too, 90% of these guys aren't even calling the shots anymore. They've turned it all over to algorithms. We're looking at smart cities that are run by robotic algorithms with guys like old Sir Wally Waits right up the top, you know, double checking all the binary decisions. Fish is out there, Diane's out there. I think I saw Monsieur Tiedrick earlier. You never know. Occasionally Tracy checks in, sometimes Karen. I've been missing Paul. I haven't seen Anthony anymore. He disappeared, unless you guys have seen him. Over 200 million Americans have gotten the Gibberty jab. Funny, they went through my school the other day, and one of the managers in my department asked me how many CV-19 vaccines I had. She's like, how many have you had? Have you had 3, 4, 5? And I'm like, I took her out of the office. I'm like, can you step out of the office with me? I don't want to talk about this in front of our colleagues. And I'm like, my personal medical data really isn't. I said, are you saying that you like it's mandatory that I tell you? And she's like, no, the school has asked me, you know, they're trying to gather the data on it, see how many jabs people have had. And I'm like, 0. Why would I have any? I said, you know, or is it something that's, you know, required? And she said, no, we're just gathering the data. I'm like, okay, 0 is the fucking answer, the big old 0. And I said, that's at the advice of my personal doctor. So if they start that happy horse shit, I don't think they will though. China has had a very low number. I mean, there's only been 100,000 people in the entire country out of like nearly 2 billion people that have even gotten the sniffles with the Kuvi, any one of the varieties. I mean, what are there, like 10 or 15 varieties now? And only a handful of people have gotten the Kuvis. And then we've had less than 5,000 deaths in a country with 2 billion people. So I think China's the only one that's accurately, I think China is the only nation on earth right now that's accurately counting their numbers. And just openly liquidating people that they don't like. It's obvious they only put people in power they can control. Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, I had high hopes for Trump, but he turned out to be a fucking skin suit too. Right? And they always do in retrospect. Number one, it's a false dichotomy. It's a stage show drama for the serfs under the feudalism to talk about, you know, year in and year out. I was listening to Styx Hexenhammer. I don't know if you guys ever listened to him. I was listening to him last night on the drive home, and as I heard him babble on and on about this, and you know, get involved in local government and blah blah blah, it's red versus blue, you know, the conservatives are blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh my God, I've been hearing this same nonsense since I was a boy, and my father would listen to it, and in 50 years it's never mattered, and it never will matter. And the only thing it's good for is people to, I guess, fight over, you know, in their free time, and mostly just on the internet these days. Diane, Monsieur Tiedrick thanks Diane. He doesn't understand why Trump would work with these people. They are always trying to investigate him and lock him up, and I find it hard to believe that he would work with them. Yeah, you know, Senor Tiedrick, it's all subterfuge, man. That's exactly why they do it, just so that you'll think about it and talk about it, rather than thinking about the great fleecing of the nation and the fact that they're taking away all deeded land rights and shit, and making it harder and harder for the average plebe to survive. Yeah, Little Fish says there isn't even a test to prove if you have the friggin' coof. Yeah, who knows what they're even testing for. The PCR test doesn't say you have the COVID. No, it's over here they use what's called like an acid nucleid test or something. So who knows what they're even fucking up to. I mean, we know what they're up to. They're up to a mass culling is what they're up to. And anyone that'll fucking buy into it is going to be cold. That's what's going on. It's a mass culling, just like they did in the last century. If you haven't read that paper by the Hawaii.edu professor, he calls it democide, DEMOCIDE, democide. So you can look it up. Government's number one objective is the culling of the people. Number one is mass indoctrination to stabilize their co-created reality, right? They realize that we're all in a co-created reality, and that in order to keep the system stabilized, a slave system stabilized, they have to enslave everyone's children 90% of the time and indoctrinate them with their sci-fi fantasy globe earth, evolved from monkeys bullshit, so that they've got 90% of the people thinking that on a day-to-day basis, especially the youngest and most creative among us, right? All of the children all day long reciting bunk physics formulas, fake history books, fantasy evolution from monkey bullshit theories, and praising scientific materialism as the new religion, right? So when you lock down 90% of society and keep the most creative, most powerful minds among human beings in the co-created reality, generating those waves, whether they believe it or not, it doesn't matter. Whether the kids believe it or not, it doesn't matter, because they're indoctrinated in it and they're evoking it in a magical system of spelling, day in and day out, reading the incantations of scientific materialism. And so that's number one. Number two, you cull off the people that have already lived through enough of a cycle to realize that it's all horse shit, right? You silence those guys, pull them out of the system, because they don't benefit you in any way, right? And so we're coming out of an era when it was requisite to have these big slave labor bases in order to get shit done. And we're moving into a new era where a lot of it can be done through robotics. And so it's like, well, you know, like the Georgia Guidestones say, you got to get it down to around 500 million. So of course you're going to spend a mainstream narrative of total deception, so that 90% of people are running around with their head up their ass and scared and killing themselves off due to biosurvival anxiety. It's like, how can I even survive another day? Maybe they're gonna come jab me in the arm with the fucking the liquid cow juice poison, so that I'll moo like a fucking cattle in a stall. And you know, you've already been usurped. You've already been enslaved. And so what did that guy say? They said you make the system so that the slaves learn to love their enslavement. And yeah, man, it's a dark day. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I'll tell you what you can do. You could give me a yo out in Happy Land. That'll put the lead in your pencil. Keep fighting the good fight. And you know, great minds think alike. Those in the community who know a little something can pass it along. You know, you can put up a little resistance by at least talking to your kids about it at home. Like my dad did. He indoctrinated me early on, let me know the secret. He said, hey kiddo, 90% of everything you learn in school is gonna be bullshit. You need to get out there in the field and test everything. You can recommend Dr. Robert Anton Wilson's book, Prometheus Rising, to the doubters, right? You could say, why don't you try a paradigm shift experiment and get in and listen to Eric Dubé's 100 flat earth proofs or whatever, and just entertain the idea for a couple of weeks. Don't buy into it, you know? Don't buy into the landing on the moon conspiracy theory. Just entertain the idea for a couple of weeks, because that's all it fucking takes. Anyone with any intelligence, once they entertain the idea for a couple of weeks, it's fucking game over. And then we can slowly teach the younger people that, hey, NASA claims that they lost all of the technology to get to the moon, and the only thing they've got is the International Space Station, and nobody's ever been out of low Earth orbit, and it's maybe even questionable if there is a low Earth orbit. So don't drink too much corporate Kool-Aid, you know? Keep your head on a swivel, like Tattooed Monkey likes to say, even though I think he's full of shit 90% of the time too. And that's it, man. Just keep on keeping on. Little Fish says, I'll read a little bit more of the chat, man, then I gotta go. I got a big fucking day today, which sucks, but I got like 8 classes, and I won't be done until like 7 fucking, pardon my French, I won't be done until like 6:30 p.m. They can't even prove beyond reasonable doubt that AIDS and measles and chickenpox or any other virus. I know that sounds intense and a lot to handle, but yep, evidence is all. Yeah, that's right. There's some collective idea that when folks get sick, then other folks get sick, but it's due to the placebo effect. First of all, you would think that they found a virus, right? No, yeah, there's no proof of any viruses. That's all. Guys, which part of when everything you believe is fake? It's everything, right? You have to question every last bit of it. It's not 90% bullshit. It's not 50% bullshit. It's 100% with a capital 100, 100% bullshit. But they didn't. They made up the theory. Yep, they made it up. You know, there were guys like even George Bernard Shaw, is that his name? He was like, they didn't fucking come up with no vaccine for measles. They just reclassified what measles was. And it turned out that their whole vax program of trying to stop measles was actually spreading measles and making people sick. And they learned that when you put sick people together, people get sick. Of it. Every damn thing. That's right. Every last thing. Everything. William J. Casey said it best. When everything you believe is false, then the CIA's doing their job. You know, so fuck. Good God, I hate it when people are like, but what about this? What about this? And it's like, what about it? It's fake. It's fake news from start to finish. Styx Hexenhammer, fake news. Tattooed Monkey, fake news. David Paulides, missing 411, more fake news. I'm in rare form today. Y'all good looking, sexy people, stay well out in Happy Land, and I will see you in the abodes of the future. I gotta run. Time to sign off. Blessed be, and y'all keep on keeping on. And don't forget, good magic.